Hi, hi.
Hello. Yeah,
Good evening. Good evening.
good evening.
Welcome or welcome to.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Uh,
Um,
should we wait for the others a little bit more? What do you think?
yes,
Okay. All right.
we can give them some grace period,
Okay. All right.
not more than 10 minutes.
Okay. All right.
Okay. But we can still have a conversation.
Oh, that's nice. Good. Okay. So tell me, how was your day then?
My day,
Yeah.
well, um, hmm, I'm actually awake. I'm always awake.
Yeah, I know, right? It's not easy for you. Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But then,
I'm saying, more grease to your elbow. I don't know how it.
yeah, actually, I'll still make it. I'll still make it.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes, I don't have time to go through the stuff and all that.
Eh,
Make sure when I'm in class, I make sure I try my best to get things done, understand what's going on at the moment.
oh, I'll leave some files in the I'll leave some files in there for you, okay? So that like in the channel, the Microsoft Team channel.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can check them out. What are you up?
Yeah. Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you're back, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I was interrupted. Yeah. So for the speaking class,
Good.
yes. Let me recollect. So it will be a conversation with
Nice.
the interview.
Yes,
The interview.
it's gonna be a conversation with you and then the examiner.
And the examiner. Okay. So apparently, what they are looking for is how you communicate and you understand.
Very good. That's it.
Oh,
That's
okay.
literally right about it. And they are looking for four criteria that you should uh, meet or match, right? So you're looking for your um, how do you call it? Vocabulary, right? If your
Yeah.
vocabulary is precise or good enough, right? That's one. You're also looking for your grammar, right? So grammar is basically, for example, all these primitive or just all these basic errors, like how to. So if it's a plural, like people, right? So people are coming. You can't say people is coming, or you can't say um, um, uh, the soldiers. The soldiers were. The soldiers were fighting. You can't say the soldiers was fighting.
Okay.
That's basically the grammar issues out there. Uh, You find that in our world today. Uh,
Maybe, maybe there are two anymore. Maybe I expire still one. Yeah. Hello.
yeah, you're there, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so the use of like accurate grammar, okay, that is what they're looking for as well, and they're looking for your pronunciation. So I'll just uh, I would share my screen now. I'll just uh, so you can see. So you see the criteria that they're looking for. So it's 4 criteria. Normally, they expect you to uh, action. So it's grammar and your accuracy in grammar, and then your lexical resource. Lexical resource is basically another term for vocabulary. Okay, so how expansive is your how wide is your vocabulary? So that's lexical resource. Is a resource. So your ability to use lexicons in English. How right, and then your fluency and coherence. Fluency and coherence has to do with your logic, right? How to keep the topic and how to flow brilliantly, right, in a very logical manner, and that should be it. So that's what they'll be looking out for in the speaking. Okay, that's why it's very important not to give short answers in IELTS speaking, because that's the worst thing you want to do to yourself in IELTS speaking. So if the examiner says, where do you work, or where do you school, what do you do, or where do you live, or what do you think about your what do you think about the house you live in? Don't give short answers like, well, I actually live at Medina and yeah, with my family, and then you leave it there. So you see, such a sentence, they might not be able to um, know your level of English, right? So it's always good to. So if you do that in IELTS speaking, you're gonna be getting like a band 5 and below, right? Because
Okay.
they cannot judge you, they cannot assess you, right? They don't know what you are, right? So um, look at band 5. Is manages to talk about familiar and unfamiliar topics, but uses vocabulary with limited flexibility. So if you give short answers, you're limited, right? And so they would think, okay, maybe you're just a band 5 or something. Okay. Speaking, there's IELTS is testing you on 4 things: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Speaking and writing there are 2 things you cannot really manufacture in the exams, right? With listening and reading, you the answers are in the booklet, right? The answers are there. You have to find the answers, or you have to listen appropriately for the answers. But with speaking and writing, you have to manufacture the answers yourself. So you have to cook up, right? You have to bring it out. So they're drawing you out. They're drawing your English out. So that's the difference. With reading, you're reading an article or a passage, and then you're finding the answers. But with speaking, it's coming out from you yourself, right? Naturally, it's like all the burden is on you, or the onus is on you. That's the difference. And that's why if you don't know, you don't know. Okay, so you just have to keep practicing for speaking and writing. Okay. There's no, I don't know, there's no skill to it, right? You cannot, what do I call it, spontaneously, right? Or all of a sudden just uh, metamorphosize or just change into a native speaker when you get there, or just convert yourself into a band niner, right? If you're not, you're not. So you just have to keep practicing. We've all been there before. I mean, it's not easy, okay? But you can do it. You can always do it. Did something happen? Are you there? Hmm. It's like something happened to my file. Yeah, James, are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, my network failed me.
Oh, that's fine. So, any more questions? Just you can ask more questions about the speaking. I think you're asking of you wanted to know the setting, right? How when you enter the exam, you have some sort of like a conversation or interview with an examiner, right? Uh,
Yes. And more importantly, is it only one examiner or
yes,
it should be like a bond?
it's only one examiner that's going to take you throughout the 3 parts. Okay, there's only one examiner that'll be there with you, and the two of you will be sitting facing each other. So you'll be opposite each other. So the examiner can see you, you can see the examiner. But in some cases, it's a video call. But even if it's a video call, you still have to go to the IELTS center and then they'll do all those things for you. So it's not like they're going to call your own phone. You still have to appear at the exam center and then they'll set it up for you. Right. So those are the two options you have. But it's only one person. It could be a male or female. So there's only one person that will take you through the three parts. But it will record you. You're gonna be on record. Okay, so there's a reason why they record the IELTS speaking because one, there's a second examiner that is going to oversee your work as well. So somebody else is going to play it, and then you'll average. Mostly they will average the score. So they examiner one, the score examiner one gives to you, and then the score examiner two gives to you the average of it. Right, right there. That is what's going to happen. I need to do your docs right now. Our people are not coming. It looks like you're going to be the only one. If you can hear me, though. Uh, Pause. James, I don't know if you can hear me, but if you're speaking, I cannot hear you. But if you can hear me, yeah, that is fine. Trying to paste this thing right here, and it's not popping up. No, why? Oh,
You are tired because you were the one I've been waiting for. Madam, I come to it. So I beg you, Miss Lowe, may you wait for me? Oh, yeah, wait. Yeah. No, wait. Oh, I'm not waiting for that. Oh, sorry. Oh. Yes, no.
so James,
Maybe, then to send me mobile money.
hello, James.
Go back. Yeah.
Can you? It looks like you're having some like noisy background. Can you mute yourself? If you're ready, then you just come. Okay.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay. 18 minutes into it, and nobody is here. Just James. Ooh. Let's see. Nobody. Hi, James. Hi, James. Are you there?
Hello, I'm there. Please, I'll get back to you.
Okay. All right. Cool. These guys. James, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm a little busy.
Yeah, so when are you gonna get Lando? I could still just let it, if since you're busy, I could just probably call it a day. Do you know when you're gonna come back?
Oh, in about 10 minutes.
Okay, fine.
Hello. Hello.
You're you're back in.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry.
Um,
Oh, so am I the only one still available?
yeah, so you're gonna be the only one. So it's already 32 minutes into it already. Interesting. Like not anybody wants to come around. So what do you do? Would you want to go ahead?
Yes, yes, please.
Okay. All right. Good. So, I mean, I don't know if you if I answered all your questions, but yeah, for today, um, would be uh, looking at part three of the speaking test, right? And that's the final part of the speaking test, and it's I like to call it a uh, linguistic because
Linguistics.
linguistic ceiling because over here, right? So if you can see my screen, ceiling because over here you're going to be tested really hard. It's like high order thinking, okay? So it's like critical thinking, abstract thinking, questions that are demand reasoning or uh, informative type of speaking, right? Educational topics, okay? So it's no more informal questions like where do you work? What do you think? Do you like documentaries or where do you go shopping? Now it's a bit more academic. Okay, so let's go back to the file. Yeah, it will last for roughly 4 minutes, right? And there's a discussion between you and the examiner, right? The topic will be related to the topic you just spoke about in part two. So whatever topic you spoke about in part two, uh, you would most likely continue in part three, but in a very academic format. So let's say in part two, you were asked to describe your best friend, right? So in part two of the speaking test, they asked you a personal topic, which is describe your best friend. So in part three, you would have to talk about communication with friends, right? So it changes. If you spoke about a journey you made when you were young, or you made in recent times, in part three, you have to talk about transport. So changes in transport. So you can see it becomes more like kind of like deep. Let's see if there's some examples uh, I could show you so you can grasp what I mean. Okay, so speaking uh, part three topics. Here we go. So let's talk about yeah. So let's say in part two, right, you spoke about family. So you were asked to describe your favorite person in your family in part two of the speaking test, right? In part three, they're going to ask you a question like, is family important in your country, right? And how has the size of your family changed the last few decades? How do you think the family will change in the future? And uh, what role grandparents play in the family in your country? So you can see that it's more of a discussion. So the examiner is trying to test your deep thinking or your critical thinking, right? So let's say you spoke about school in your part two, right? So you spoke about it says maybe in part two it says describe a time you presented a lecture. So that's in part two, right? So in part three, you're going to speak about education and things like the examiner would now come out and have a conversation with you, right? A formal conversation, not an informal type. But the examiner can chip in some points as well, right? So what makes a good student? See how deep that question is. So it requires thinking, critical thinking. What makes a good student, right? And it's important not to just give flimsy or wishy-washy answers, right? Answers that are inadequate. Try to go at it. Go for it, right? Give logical, reasonable answers. What role should the teacher have in the classroom? And do you think computers will one day replace teachers in the classroom? You can see how deep this is, right? So do you think computers will one day replace teachers in the classroom? So this is like more opinion related questions, right? They're seeking your opinion. So what you think about these things. right? And what's the difference between the way children learn and the way adults learn? Um, I don't know if you can hear me, James, but are you with me? Are you
Yeah, I'm with
good? Okay, so that's how part three is. That's why I like to call it a linguistic ceiling because when you get here, it's tough. You don't have much time to think. Okay, so it's just like just take me as an examiner, right? We're moving into part three, and I'm getting ready to ask you questions. So the examiner is going to say, um, here's what the examiner is going to say. So now we're going to discuss education and work. Okay, so that's what the examiner is going to say. So now we're going to discuss education, and these are the kind of questions they'll ask about your opinion. Right? They'll seek your opinion on these questions, like what makes a good student, right? And you have to provide an answer within like, uh, if not immediately, right? So 3 to 4 sentences, like I always say, very good and precise answer. And in what role should a teacher have in the classroom and that. So this is where they're demanding your thinking abilities. Okay, that is part three of the speaking test. So you can see samples here. Do you think that young people should have detailed career plans? Now look at that. See how deep that is again. And how can schools prepare students for work? Right. So another one again. How do you think schools can prepare students for work? And that's why I'm saying that with IELTS speaking and writing, it's not like you're finding answers from somewhere. If you don't know, you don't know. Right? Or if you're not prepared, you're not prepared. You have to prepare yourself for IELTS speaking and writing because it's all on you. In listening and reading, you can find the answers on what is given you from the booklets or from the audio that has been played. But with speaking and writing, it's all on you. You have to cook the answers yourself. You have to be in the kitchen and cook. You have to. I always say that speaking is an art, right? Speaking is a form of intelligence. If you're able to speak appropriately and in a good manner,
you.
it's always a form of intelligence. So there's not really much I can do. I cannot really spoon feed you guys in part three, right? Because it's high order thinking type of question. So I can't really spoon feed you. I can only guide you, okay, as to how and show you samples, okay, and guide you how to go about it, okay. So let's look at how a candidate who wrote the exam fared, or let's see how they did, okay. So look at this. So they moved on to the part three speaking, right? So look at this. This is a band nine sample type of answer, right? I would suggest 3 to 4 sentences, but if you look at what the candidate has provided, it's almost like 8 sentences out there. So you see how you have to work hard for about nine and above, or by let's say eight and above. So the examiner goes and says, how can schools prepare students for work? Right? And then the candidate goes, well, there are several ways that schools can do this. To start with, can you see the way he's logically beginning, right? So there are several ways. So he's already opened up the floor. So he's opened the mind of the examiner, right? He's opened the mind of the examiner that, okay, there's quite a lot of ways, but to start with, right, they can include, right? So this is what we call, what they've done here is what we call, like, oh, this is what we call, coherence, coherence and fluency. Okay, coherence and fluency. So they're more like logically provided answers, right? So to start with, as a nice linking word, they can include examples of work and careers in their lessons. So if the subject is chemistry, they could study the career of a successful chemist, for example, right? So chemist was actually used here, which you almost are, right? So look at that. How coincidental that we're talking about chemicals and medications out here. So schools can also send pupils on visits to workplaces, to offices or factories, and blah 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 blah. Right, and then he sums up to say, I think that all these things together would certainly help to prepare young people for work. Right. So, I mean, this is just a band nine template sort of answer in part three, right? And it's for you to just observe and see how it is, right? I would repeat, part three was let's say demanding, right? Uh, when you any IELTS is a type of exam when you write it when you're done writing the full exam, it takes like 3 hours. When you're done writing, you feel some sort of you feel some sort of fullness or satisfaction in your brain because you'd have used your brain so well that you can't even imagine. Your brain would feel so full. And that's how you want to feel because it'll actually demand a lot from you in terms of into intellect, okay, in IELTS. Um, look at the next question. What can teachers use the internet for in lessons? See, yet again, it's some sort of high order thinking, right? It's testing you to the rooftops, to the ceiling, right? It's not like these are things that you can just, like these are not things that affect us day to day, right? The day to day questions they will ask you in part one and part two, right? But in part three, these are things that will demand our reasoning ability. Okay, so um, I made some sort of uh yeah another template by myself for you guys, even though the rest are not here. It's quite unfortunate that they're not here. They might show up another time and then would have to actually uh make me go back to these things, right? It's IELTS speaking. The whole, I mean, IELTS is not an easy exam. Okay, you don't want to take any of the parts for granted. It's really not an easy exam. You can't say, oh, this one is more difficult and it's much more difficult, it's more complicated and blah blah blah. So this is what I made for you guys, right? So mostly in part three, you might have to agree or disagree, okay? You might have to give an opinion, right? And it's always nice that you'd you'd express your opinion in an emphatic manner. So another word again is emphatic. The word emphatic is in like so strong manner with leaving no room for doubt, basically. Okay. So that's in an emphatic manner. Yeah, so expressing something forcibly and clearly. Okay, so that's what you want to do in IELTS part three. So you want to be emphatic, right? If they say um I'm trying to use an example. So uh let's say Egypt's victory over Ghana was an emphatic one. It means that the football game, Egypt actually beat Ghana emphatically. That means that they beat Ghana legally, for no doubt. I mean, they really beat Ghana. So we want to be emphatic. We don't want to leave room for doubt. Okay. So to agree completely with something, you can use words like absolutely, totally, for sure. I couldn't agree more. Right. So let's say, do you think that the use of the internet is vital in uh, education? So now that's they're seeking your opinion, right? Instead of saying something like yes, you can show them that yes, indeed, you're being emphatic, right? You're being clear, straight to the point, or totally, or absolutely, or for a certainty, I believe that the internet, things like that, okay? Or yes, I think so. But I feel like yes, I think so is quite a basic one. So you can say for sure, I couldn't agree more. Or if you tend not to agree, right, you can come here and say, well, to be honest, I do not agree with that, right? Or you can say, I beg to differ, right? Or you can say, um, I have to disagree with that uh, idea. I have to disagree with that notion, right? These are all ways you're just expressing intelligence in English by speaking. Okay, or you can also say that's not exactly how I see it, right? So it means that that is not exactly how you see it. It means you're disagreeing, but you're being very, very skilled at expressing your notion. So that is not exactly how you see it. This is very polite in modern English, okay? So if you want to speak to somebody who's like your boss or something, and you don't or your a family member, and you don't want to say no, you don't want to say no in a very sometimes talking to our family members, right? If we're not careful and we disagree with them, we might seem presumptuous or rude, right? Another nice little word for you, presumptuous, which means that uh, literally they see you as being arrogant. It's part of our culture, unfortunately, but yeah, that's it. We have to always be careful when we're speaking to the adult. So presumptuous means that you're failing to observe the limits of what is permitted or appropriate. So they might see you to be a presumptuous person, right? If you tend to disagree with them. So if you want to disagree with somebody, you can just say it in a very skilled manner, right? And just say, well, that's not exactly how I see it, right? That's a nice way of just expressing your no. Okay? Uh, instead of saying, well, no, I don't disagree, I don't agree. Okay. Then you can then go on and say, well, I would tend to say, or you can say, I beg to differ. That's another polite way again, right? You're begging to differ. You're begging to be different. Or you can just go the very simple but very good way as well. Not necessarily, right? Well, not necessarily, right? I would say otherwise. Okay, so you're also disagreeing, but yeah, this is all like that's why I always say speaking is a form of intelligence. Speaking is an art. Okay, if you're able to show people this, right? You know that sometimes some people can speak and your heart just melts, and some people can speak and you just go ahead and just listen. Some people can speak and they're commanding, and that's when they say they have charisma, right? And so we've had presidents like that, or they say, "Oh, Rollins has charisma, or Obama has this charismatic appeal," and blah 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 blah. So many of them, or whoever. Yeah, that's speaking. So the ability to speak to an audience or somebody and make a point and be a bit commanding but polite, right? If you tend to agree a little bit, right, you can say, well, to some extent, we can say, kind of, but actually, I believe it is blah, 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 blah. And so the question was, do you believe or do you agree that the internet is important in education? We can say, well, kind of, but actually, I feel it has to be regulated, right? So you're agreeing, but to a little bit, okay, to a little extent. You're not agreeing fully, so you're right there. Okay, so you say by and large, or you can say, yes, I tend to agree, but at the same time, blah 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 blah. Okay. And finally, if you're very unsure about an answer, so when you're unsure, you can say sitting on the fence. That's a nice little idiomatic expression. Sit on the fence, right? You say, well, it depends. So now you're going to say, well, it depends. So it means that when you say it depends, it means that you're not sure about your answer. It could be both positive and negative. So you're in the middle, right? You can say, well, I'm stuck in the middle, right? Well, I'm stuck in the middle. Or you can say, be honest, I'm not 100% sure about that one. Okay, that's another nice one for you. We can say, that's a tough one. Well, that's a tough question, but in some respects, yes. Da 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 da. Okay. So this is how you can do it. This is how you can do it in the part three. Okay, part three is high order thinking. Part three is critical thinking. So yes, are you there, James? If you can hear me, let's wrap up. Because today seems quite like a non-productive day. It seems like a very dull day for you guys. It's like Nobody's really ready today. If you can hear me, James. Okay. I might just probably test you on part of these ones. Hello, James.
Hello.
Yeah, either are you free to have a go before we go? Because I want us to wrap up, but before we go, I just want you to have a feel of it, so that when you go into the exam on the exam day, you know what part three feels like. Okay, don't worry. There's no there's no whatever how they call it shiners out here. I mean, we're all learning. There's no timidity. Okay, we don't need that in IELTS. IELTS is one exam that you don't have to be timid about. You have to go in all out there. Okay. Um. So yeah, we don't. We need no. I'm just messing up my whole screen. Are you there? Can you hear me? So do you want to try? Do you want to have a go?
Yeah.
Good. So remember this thing. Okay. No timidity in IELTS. Okay. So no shrinking back. So instead of saying timidity, you can say shrink back. So shrink back is a very nice phrasal verb. So no shrinking back. Okay. So no shrinking back. But what do we need? We need temerity. Okay. So that's a nice little musical punchline for you guys out there. No timidity, but temerity. Okay. Temerity is just courage and boldness. Okay. So no timidity, but temerity. So excessive confidence or boldness, temerity. That is what we need in IELTS. Okay. So let's have it go. Let's have it go. Let's have a good go. So you can feel it, have a feel of it before you get in there. Where was I? So many tabs open here. Good. So let's say, okay, you want to choose any of these ones. Normally, this is what I do to you guys. I let you choose one of these so that you just have a feel. So do you want to choose art, clothes, education, family, food, health, internet, media and the news, nature, society, travel, work?
Na-
Sorry?
Nature.
Nature. Fantastic. Looks like you share something in common with me. That's nice. I tend to like nature as well. Good. All right. So I'm the examiner, right? I'm gonna act like I'm the examiner in real setting. So this, if you're choosing nature, it means that you must have spoken about nature in part two, and then entering part three. So now we're gonna discuss a few topics about nature. So tell me, what are the main environmental problems in your country? The floor is yours.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah. Go ahead.
several problems in my country, and
I don't know if you're speaking, but I can't really hear you, or I cannot hear you at all. Looks like it's
Sorry, someone called.
okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah. So in my country, the environmental problems comes in two forms. We have natural and man-made environmental problems. For the natural one, I think this natural disaster, flooding, is very common, especially in the rainy season.
mm-hmm.
We have destruction of water bodies as a result of galamsey operations, which is man-made.
Great. Why should people be concerned about the environment?
Because a neat and sustainable environment goes a long way to um, improve our health and also increase our life expectancy.
Good. How can people protect the environment?
The environment is hmm, okay, okay. Um, with so okay. You let me just speak. So with the natural disasters such as the flood that happens, a good site planning would help curb the situation or prevent it totally. And also, with the destruction of our water bodies as a result of galamsey operation, strict rules can help prevent it.
Good. Do you think money should be spent on protecting animals?
Money spent on protecting animals. I hey, I wanted to use okay. Oh, this is my intro face. I forgot it.
Mm-hmm.
Like something of like as in I agree but not totally. How would I put in?
You agree, but not totally. So up to a point. That's one. Let's go to our. If you agree, but not totally, you can say up to a point or to some extent. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
You can say kind of, but actually, okay. Mhm.
Okay, so kind of uh, money spent is what's the question again?
So
Money
yeah,
spent
do you
protect
think money should be spent on protecting animals?
kind of um one because animals are part of our natural environment, and also we have some sort of benefits from them. As for example, we have birds that create pollination and also help our plants to bear fruits. On the other side,
Mm-hmm.
on the other side, um, we have dangerous species that come around um, where humans live, and they may cause and they may cause they may be harmful to us when they attack us.
Good. Do you
With
think
that,
do you think more should be done to protect natural beauty spots in your country?
okay, natural beauty spots. Yes, yes, I agree. Um, it helps us create an environment for tourism and also protect our animals that we may get benefits from.
Oh.
Uh, my mind is
So now tell me how do you think you fared? Tell me.
okay. So
I mean, how do you feel? Like, how do you feel? What do you think about it? What do you think? How do you think you did? What do you think about IELTS
oh,
speaking part three? What do you
I,
think?
it's six out of 10. I think with the first two questions and all that they are cool, but
Mhm.
when as you descend or as the questions
Yeah,
go on,
it's tougher, isn't it?
you'd require more thinking and
Yeah,
analysis.
good. So that's why I call it the linguistic ceiling. This is the reason why I call it the linguistic ceiling. It's high order thinking. Okay, you can if you don't know, you don't know. You cannot make it up. Okay, you, you have to cook it by yourself in a sense, right? To be honest, I'll say for a first time, you did exceptional because you had a lot of zeal in there. You were ready to you were not scared of tackling the questions. And that's the kind of spirit we need, okay? You are not timid, even though you are finding your answers, right? You're trying to find your answers. You're ready. You were just ready to just be hit by the questions. And that's the kind of spirit or that's the kind of uh, energy, right? You need for the IELTS speaking. Okay, so you've done very, very well. Good, right? For a first time, you did uh, exceptional. Okay, all I'll say is that as a rule, the examiners are not going to wait for you to give your answers. Unfortunately, that's the rule because, uh, like we said earlier on, um, where is it? It lasts for 4 minutes, roughly 4 minutes. Okay, So part three lasts for roughly 4 minutes. Part two lasts for roughly 4 to 5 minutes, and then part one also lasts for 4 minutes. And so in all, you're spending 15 minutes on the whole IELTS speaking test. And so they're actually not going to wait for you, right? So once they throw the question at you, that's it. You have just like 2 seconds to just make up an answer and go, right? And just go. No, and when you don't have an answer, right? Normally they'll give you like less than about 30 seconds for each of the questions. So if you don't give a full answer, the examiner's not gonna wait for you most of the time, right? They will just move on to the next one, and that means that that's a loss for you. So always, what I would advise is that just try and complete your answers in a short span. I know it's high order thinking and it requires analysis, like you said, right? But just you've done very well. This for a beginner, this kind of spirit is what we need, okay? So just go for it, okay? It's not easy, right? This is why I always say that speaking and writing, it all depends on you now, right? In reading and listening, you can find answers in the paragraphs or the booklets or whatever they give you. In speaking and writing, you'd have to formulate by yourself. It's like solid food. They are no more spoon feeding you. Okay. So good, 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 good. With what has happened, I would have to schedule this class again, probably tomorrow. Okay, for you guys, and see if they'll show up. Okay, so that everyone will be around. Then we'll have a go again. What do you think about that? Oh,
Absolutely.
good, 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 good. Okay, so that's nice. Thank you so much for today, even though it was quite a dull day, but you made it interesting in the end. So well done, yeah? Well done, James. Good stuff.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
All right, so I'll take leave of you now. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.
Where's my teams up? All right. I'll have to end this now. Stop sharing. And hopefully the score was not too bit.